Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Ready to unlock the secrets of your air fryer.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about how to get the most out of your air fryer, and more importantly, what not to do.
We're going to make sure you avoid those common mistakes. The Express, they're a UK news outlet, put together a list of 5 things you should never do with an air fryer. And we're going to break them down, figure out the why, and maybe even offer some alternatives. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Okay, mistake number 1, saucy situations. Now, the Express specifically mentions things like spaghetti bolognese,
Yeah.
casseroles, anything with a lot of liquid. I have to admit, I've been tempted to try a chili in the air fryer, but something tells me that's not a good idea.
It can get really messy really quickly.
Why is that?
Well, the magic of the air fryer is that powerful fan, right?
Mm.
Blasts superheated air all around your food, and that's what gives us those crispy textures that we love.
Right.
But that same force can turn a saucy dish into a disaster.
Oh.
So you're going to end up with a big mess to clean and potentially unevenly cooked food.
Nobody wants that.
No, and all that splattering can even be a safety hazard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so mistake number 2, this one's all about batter. The article says wet batter is a no-go. Can you explain why that is?
Sure, so think about how deep frying works.
I
The food is completely submerged in hot oil, and that cooks the batter evenly all around and gives you that crispy, delicious texture. With an air fryer, you don't have that oil bath. So the wet batter has nowhere to go, and it just kind of drips off.
makes a mess.
Yeah. Not only does it make a mess, but it can also actually damage the machine.
So no air-fried tempura shrimp.
Well, not with a traditional wet batter, but there are certain types of batter that are actually better suited for the air fryer.
Really?
For example, a tempura batter with its light and airy texture can actually work quite well. The key is to find batters that don't rely on a pool of hot oil for their structure and crispiness.
Okay, so maybe a lighter batter, something that's not going to be as heavy and dense.
Exactly. Panko breadcrumbs, another good option.
Yeah, panko breadcrumbs are always a good go-to for getting a nice crispy coating. This is why I love these deep dives because, you think you know how to use an appliance, but then you get into the nitty-gritty and you're like, oh, there's actually a science to this.
Absolutely. It's not just about throwing things in and hoping for the best.
Right. And speaking of things you might not expect, mistake number 3 is about popcorn. I was really surprised by this one.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, you think hot air popcorn should work.
But air fryers just don't get hot enough to
Mhm.
properly and consistently pop those kernels. So you might get a few pops, but you're more likely to end up with a bunch of unpopped kernels.
And a sad bowl of popcorn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which can also potentially damage the machine.
Yeah, that's not good. So maybe we'll stick to the microwave or the stovetop for our popcorn needs.
Yeah, for that classic movie night snack.
All right, let's move on to mistake number 4. This one's about broccoli. And this is less about damage and more about disappointment.
Right. Broccoli can be a little tricky in an air fryer because of the high heat and rapid air circulation. It tends to dry out before it can get nice and tender,
Mm.
and you end up with kind of like tough, bitter broccoli.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I have seen, though, some people post pictures online of beautiful, perfectly roasted broccoli from their air fryer. So is there a trick to it?
It really comes down to technique.
Mm.
Tossing the broccoli with a little bit of oil can help to prevent it from drying out, and you might need to experiment with slightly lower temperatures and shorter cooking times.
Okay.
Some people even parboil the broccoli for a few minutes before air frying, just to give it a head start.
Interesting. So it's not a complete no-go, but it requires a little bit more, finesse.
Exactly.
All right. Mistake number 5. Dried goods. Can you cook pasta or rice from scratch in an air fryer?
Unfortunately, no.
Really?
Both pasta and rice need to be boiled in water to cook properly. And air fryers just don't provide that necessary moisture or consistent heat distribution.
So no air-fried risotto for us.
I mean, maybe not risotto from scratch, but don't discount the air fryer entirely when it comes to pasta and rice. You can use it to reheat already cooked pasta dishes or rice dishes,
Oh, okay.
and it can give them a crispy texture.
Oh, that's nice.
Or, you can even use it to crisp up a pasta bake, maybe something that's already been cooked in the oven, give it a little bit of extra, crunch.
I like it.
So there are still ways to incorporate those things.
Okay, so we've talked about the don'ts, and we've even uncovered some do's. What would you say is the biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the air fryer is a fantastic tool, But it's not a magic bullet. It has its strengths, it has its limitations,
Right.
and understanding how it works and what it excels at is really key to getting the most out of it.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
Try those chickpeas. Air fry some kale chips.
Yeah,
You might just discover your new favorite thing to make in there. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Happy cooking, everyone.
absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.